Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do start, let's give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of things have happened. We had Deku. We also had Iron Man, or Shellhead. Now, Iron Man, he's done a lot in his time as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. In the last 6 months, he's taken control of S.H.I.E.L.D., used Stark Industries to take control of villains using nanites. He's turned heroes into federal agents and made sure things are going his way. Deku, he is trying to do a lot. However, Mr. Stark is blackmailing, he's extorting, and he's using the law to do what he does want. He's locking up superheroes in Prison 42, revealing their identities and putting their families in harm's way. Deku, he was told by Tony Stark. He knows who he is, he has his clones on a leash, and he should really just consider surrendering, because otherwise things can get ugly. And Deku showed Tony something quite simple. The gap. Tony Stark is a man with a suit of armor. Take that away and he's just a guy with money. But Deku showed Tony Stark that Spider-Man, the one he knows and is familiar with, holds back a lot. In 10 seconds, Deku taught Mr. Stark the difference between him and Iron Man. If he wanted to, he could have killed him, but Deku didn't. Instead, he went on the retreat and escaped. He encountered the Lizard, he encountered, Jack-o'-lantern, and he even encountered Venom. Deku, though, he was also saved by the Punisher, whenever he escaped those supervillains and ran into S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, armed with guns that were able to take him down. Now, Izuku, he is still recovering from that. However, Mr. Stark and the Secret Avengers, Cap and Iron Man side, they're both leading investigations. They're trying to discover why exactly Atlanteans are on the surface. They're trying to discover why exactly Speedball might have gotten involved in all this in the first place, and why the supervillain that caused the explosion, why they had a mutant growth hormone. Or in the best way of saying it, power-enhancing drugs and where they got them from. And that's led both sides to quite an interesting investigation. However, right now, Izuku, he isn't part of that. However, he did get a backdoor into Tony Stark's network. And that foot in the door, it's about to be a foot up their ass. Especially right now. Deku and Captain America, the two have teamed up. And Deku, he's begrudgingly revealing his identity to his team. And people are definitely intrigued. Spider-Man isn't some famous actor, he's not some famous person, he's just a regular everyday kid. One who's trying to go to college and get a degree. I mean, they don't even know who Izuku Midoriya is. But that's his name. That is Spider-Man's name. And Deku currently does get to sit in the car. It's been 1 week. And he's worried. If Iron Man really does have his clones on a leash, that does mean quite a bit. But that also does make Deku worry about Kane. The problem with him. The problem with Osborn. There are too many versions of himself running around, wearing his face. Ben, he doesn't mind. Ben can help him. He's being Peter Parker. Ben is being Izuku Midoriya, well, he is being Spider-Man, not Peter Parker. Jesus. Now, Deku, he is worried about Julia and Kane. And he's also worried about what this might mean about Dr. Octopus. As currently Deku, he does actually turn his head. As Steve Rogers does shift the truck into the next gear, asking Izuku if he is alright. Just a lot to think about. I'm trying to deal with my clones, and that's a bit difficult. Clones. Yeah. Also, Iron Man. He's definitely changed. That he has. That he has. I'm disappointed in him. You and me both. I thought I got him to break from his alcoholism. Huh. That's a hard pill to swallow. I know he doesn't drink anymore, but Tony is still a bit orderly. He's been young and reckless. You gotta see things from his point of view, but at the same time, you also have to see it from our point of view. I understand that. You do, and that's good. So, right now, Iron Man's voice cutting into the radio. I'm going to inform the truck. They need to make a detour. One of their routes is, let's just say, not available at the moment. So, plan B is to go down the next street and to be careful because they don't know if Cap's team is going to ambush them at any point. And Deku is going to turn to Captain America or Steve, asking him, so, should he be the one to tell Tony or should he? Let's just play the game a little bit longer. We need to get this truck somewhere secure. Besides, if we do go through with this drop-off, we'll know where 42 is. Right. So I'm confused though. I've heard rumors of Prison 42, and I've even asked questions to certain people, but no one knows what it is. I think it's underground. It might be, but then again, a deep enough hole is still able to be climbed out of. It just takes time. If I had to guess, I'd guess it's either on the dark side of the moon or in space. You're serious? Yeah, that or somewhere on Mars, but that's still far enough. That's still too far for even S.H.I.E.L.D. Right. I think the fact that aliens exist is a testament that it's really not. If S.H.I.E.L.D. had next level technology for space travel, wouldn't the world know? Do you really think that S.H.I.E.L.D. would reveal that to the world? Fair point. Especially after everything going on. Yeah, I'm not holding them to that. Besides, Zuko. It's definitely interesting though. Right. Now, a ton of people are currently booing the truck and throwing things at it, as it does go to drive down the street slowly. And Iron Man, he does still float overhead. Him and his team are waiting for Cap's insurgency. They're waiting for Captain America and his rebels to pop up. And they want to take care of it. Make this problem disappear. Send them all to 42. And go forward with the 50-state initiative. And that would help the world tremendously. But a few people would benefit from that. And the heroes, they figured that out. Wolverine goes to confront somebody. And that does mean quite a lot. However, a lot of problems are also going to be coming from this. What comes from the 50-state initiative and who benefits? S.H.I.E.L.D. is an agency that used to be private, used to be secretive, but now they work more in the open. And there are people who have to take care of what happens with the heroes. And the government, they've given permission to damage control to clean up things. And they have the most to benefit from this. Especially because the founder, he's been linked to Tony Stark. And Stark Industries receiving money. Now, that does mean that the man is involved. And that does cause some problems. Now, right now, Iron Man, he does still float overhead. As there is where they finally made a move. And Deku, whenever he does get to hear Iron Man talk about the truck, how it needs to speed up and get through the checkpoints, Deku, he does get to get ready. Iron Man flies overhead and away out of their sight. As Deku does get a turn and going to rip open the door to the truck. Him right now going to leap out with his mask on. As Deku is going to jump onto the top of the truck, and a few people do start cheering instead of booing. Because Deku going to bring his hands out and rip off his disguise. Spiderman was inside. And that does mean a number of things. And Deku, he currently is going to bring his hand up. I'm going to shout out, "Move out of the way! Captain freaking America coming through!" And people, they do start to disperse, getting out of the way. This mechanical chariot, it is merciless. And right now, it goes from a steady 5 to 10 miles to with people moving out of the way, going up to 20 to 25. And then there actually is where it does get down the road. And Cap, he's supposed to be turning left. But instead, he does get to turn right. And the convoy, many people, they try to report back in because Spider-Man has been sighted. And Tony Stark, upon hearing that, he does actually get a bit more annoyed. Him going to turn away from the current conflict and going to try and head back. However, Tony, he's done a lot of things very badly. He's working with supervillains that he thinks he can control. He's working with heroes who are imprisoning other heroes. And every single day, they question their own morals and whether or not what they're doing is right. So that does tell you quite a bit. And right now, some people, they've changed sides. And some are actually getting involved, such as The Thing. The Thing has joined Captain America's side. Now, currently the truck, it is speeding down the street. And whenever Iron Man does go to see Deku, he does go stand there, as the man is going to shoot out his repulsors. And there actually is Captain America. Whenever Deku felt his spider sense go off, Cap, he looked in the rearview mirror, seeing that Iron Man was chasing them. And whenever Iron Man actually had to do a few things, him going to press some buttons inside of his suit and go to activate the missile system, he shot out guidance missiles directly at Deku. And Deku, he brought his hands up. Him going to shoot out webs, as over the ones that he webbed up didn't get hit, he actually brought up his hand. Him actually catching a missile with his bare hand and actually going to turn and throw it back towards Tony. And Tony does get a dodge out of the way. As Deku, he does still stand there with his hands up. And Tony is trying to think about what to do. He could definitely blast it with a laser beam, something that can cut, something that can actually kill. But that might damage the truck, rip it in half. And that's definitely not an option. So, if he does have to, will he have to use lethal force? Using that is definitely not an option. Spider-Man can still be an ally. And there actually is Captain America. Cap currently does get to throw open the door. Him actually going to jump out, and right now going to throw himself up onto the truck. As it does start to move off to the left. And Cap is trying to tell Deku, take control, he'll handle Iron Man. And Deku, he actually does a turn and throw himself down. Him getting into the driver's seat and going to put the truck back straight onto the road. Him going to shove his foot down onto the pedal. As the truck does start to speed up. And right now, Captain America, he does stand there with his shield. And Tony Stark, he does stand there, or fly, after the truck. Him currently trying to do a few things. However, right now, while the chase is going on, there is J. Jonah Jameson, who, he's definitely done quite a bit. He has been slandering Spider-Man ever since this war began. The man refused to take off his mask and answer for his crimes, be held responsible for what he's done, the things he's done. And what does that mean? That means he's trying to escape the law instead of trying to uphold it and help the law, like he so claims. And currently, Jameson, he does try to run a story. Iron Man is currently trying to transport prisoners who have not been following the Registration Act. And Spider-Man, along with Captain America, the two are, well, outlaws. Two of the biggest ones have stolen the truck and are currently trying to get away from the law. They're leading it on a high-speed chase. And that does mean quite a lot whenever it comes down to it. Spider-Man is working outside the law and he needs to be brought to justice. And currently, Jameson, they were an unhappy viewer. And they went to go bust directly through his window. As the man, he does a turn. Him going to see Spider-Man? Now, Kane is going to stand there. Him in his red and black suit. As the Scarlet Spider, he does a stand. Him turning to Jameson. Before he actually have a spike get thrown out of his arm. Him going to rush forwards and grab onto the man, pulling him up into the air, and he is going to bring up the spike. Him informing Jameson. He needs to stop it. You're another one of those spider freaks. I said stop it. What are you going to do? Kill me? Live on television? Prove my point. I'm not going to kill you. Kane actually going to turn. I'm going to throw Jameson against the wall, bringing his hand up and going to shoot webs directly into his wrist. As the man, he's stuck there. Him yelling out at this spider freak to let him go, and about how he'll be thrown in prison. And Kane is going to bring his hand up. Him going to step forwards and put the bone spike directly to Jameson's neck, informing him. He's heard enough of Jameson's bullshit. Everything he says is a goddamn lie. Everything he thinks, everything he's been trying to do. He has a hard-on for trying to give Spider-Man the worst life ever, doesn't he? Does he get off on it? Does he really think that he's in any high ground to talk? Jameson is a shitty man, and he tries to sell news by slandering superheroes. Take a second to think about this. If he had the chance to save somebody, would he take it? And Jameson does get an answer. Yes, without hesitation. And Deku, or Kane, does this one step forwards, telling Jameson, okay then, throwing out his hand, grabbing it directly onto Jameson's neck, telling him, how about he gives him a test? He's going to release one of his arms, and he's going to hand him a gun. Then, he's going to attempt to try and murder one of his staff. Let's see how he deals with being in a stressful situation, one where his life may very well depend on his next move, and see exactly how he reacts. Will he make a mistake? Will Jameson do something wrong? Will Jameson realize that being a hero is always worse than it looks? You can't save everyone, Jameson. Sometimes people die. He's had that lesson made well apparent, especially whenever the dead, they're not themselves anymore. What the hell are you talking about, you insane lunatic? Jameson, if you could bring back anyone in your life, would you? Your son, for example. You leave his name out of this. No, I won't. Your son died, JJ. So guess what? The fact that your son was overshadowed by Spider-Man, I see that your ego can't get over that. You love him, don't you? But then you hate Spider-Man. You are still an insignificant little man with no power. Now, this being where someone is going to pop up through the window. As the real Scarlet Spider does going to show up. Ben jumping in. I'm going to tell Kane, put him down, now. And Kane is going to turn. I'm going to try and tell Ben, he's not going to do that. He constantly wants to try and talk shit, right? Put them on the line, slander them. Even before all this started, he was the biggest hater for all of them. He doesn't even believe they're human. And right now, Jameson, he has a look at the two Spider-Men. I'm confused. As right now, Kane, he is actually going to throw Jameson back against the wall. I'm going to turn and try to address New York. Tell him about exactly what has really been going on. And right now, Kane, he is attacked by Ben. That was a little confusing. Now, we do currently cut back to the situation. Right now, Captain America and his team, they got the heroes out of there. And they've even tried to look into more information about 42. And they found it. However, they were not expecting what they got. It's not in space. It's not underground. It's not underwater. It's not hidden by a hologram. Prison 42 is a whole other freaking dimension. And that is a problem. There are ways to get into it, but it's definitely not going to be easy. And currently, Deku, he is told about a lot. He goes out, and he goes out to be a hero. He has a lot on his mind. A lot of things he wants to do. A lot of things he wants to say. He wants to go back home. He wants to see his mom. Sit down, have a proper meal, talk to her, and be a Zuko. Being a hero is definitely difficult. He's learned that lesson. But it's even more difficult whenever you don't really know what to do. You don't really know who you can save. And that's something that Deku has to live with. It's definitely been a challenge. Now, Deku does encounter the usual things. And there actually is a bit of time later. Let's say about 2 more months. The fighting does increase, and so does the investigations. It tells them everything. Speedball, the hero who caused this entire event, he goes to his trial. And Namor the Submariner, he is actually approached about being on Captain America's side. Iron Man put too many people in jail, and that means he has the power, he has the cards. And Cap doesn't have much to go through right now. He doesn't have much to do. He doesn't have a lot to really explore when it does come to his options. And that does put things into perspective. Captain America is working with the Punisher, and Tony Stark is working with the criminals. You see how this is going. Eventually, this is going to collide. And today, it very well might. Right now, Captain America. 2 months later, he was leading a charge into the negative zone. And the heroes, they were being released. Iron Man and his team, they were angry. They were mad. And there actually is, after everyone, they arrived. There was Dagger. There was also Cloak. These two, inseparable. And right now, Cloak, he might sacrifice his life. Whenever it comes to trying to get people out, trying to escape, Cloak uses powers to teleport people. And currently, everyone, they're falling from the sky. Iron Man, he grabs onto a few people and tries to help them. And there actually is Deku. Whenever Deku does land down onto the ground, he does look around, as currently there is where he does finally get approached by somebody. And he goes to see them. He doesn't like that they're here. He doesn't like that they're involved. And right now, Deku, he is met by Kane. Whenever Deku does see Kane, Kane calls Deku out. He calls Deku the clone. And this does somewhat surprise Deku. Kane's mental degradation has definitely gotten worse. Physically, he's still okay. But his brain was already down the path of, well, rotting in his own skull. So, the medicine saved him physically, but mentally, he's still insane. And Deku, whenever Kane is going to rush towards him to attack him, Deku does try to get on the defensive. However, there currently is the fact that this is a superhero brawl. Not ball, Jesus. Now, currently Kane, he rushed at Deku, and Deku, he went to go dodge out of the way. Him going to move as there actually was Reed Richards, who, he tried to attack Deku and grab him. However, Deku, he actually felt his spider sense go off. Him leaping directly up into the air and going to turn around. Him actually going to grab out towards something and shoot a web out at it. I'm going to pull himself forwards as they're actually going to go flying towards a few opponents. Deku smashing directly into Elektra as he does going to send her flying. I'm going to turn and actually going to dodge out of the way. But we're going to actually send another superhero flying with a punch. And there actually is Kane. Kane goes rushing towards Deku. And he does have the bone spike ready. He wants to kill Deku. And Deku does actually going to turn and grab Kane's arm. I'm going to dodge out of the way of it and going to bring out his hand, smashing Kane directly up into the face. And Kane does still stand there. And I'm going to send out another blow directly at Deku. And Deku actually is stabbed directly in the arm. And I'm going to scream out in pain as he goes to throw out his head, smashing it directly into Kane. And there are actually a few people who go to see the two battle. And some of them, they're concerned. But there actually is Captain America. Captain America, he sent Iron Man flying with a smack of the shield. He was ready. Him and Captain America have had a long, extensive history. Captain America was there to watch Tony fall. Then he watched him rise and fall again, like a phoenix. The man's been down a good path. He's been down a heavy road. And he couldn't bear that burden. He tried to do the one thing he can't. Protect the world. He wants to put a suit of armor around it, but he can't. Iron Man is still that scared person who can't save people. And Captain America, he's disappointed. He wanted so much for Tony Stark to be a good man, to be a better person. But he's not. Tony Stark is still that selfish billionaire. The man who thinks that what is right and what is correct are different. So, there's a problem with that. And people right now, they do try to stop Captain America. They're simple people. And currently many of them, they do try to tell Captain America to quit, to stop what he's doing. And currently there actually is Deku. Deku is still battling off against Kane. And then Wolverine, he tried to join the mix. Him trying to break up the fight between the two Spider-Men. However, remember Deku, he actually dodged the way of the adamantium claws. he felt his healing factor turn back up. Or, not healing factor. He felt his spider sense go back down. And right now, Deku, he doesn't go to throw out his right hand, him smashing directly into Logan's jaw, as there actually is Kane, who is to actually turn and go to throw out a spike directly into Wolverine's stomach. And Wolverine, he doesn't feel his healing factor kick in. However, Kane tried to paralyze him with a spike. And currently, Deku, he's trying to fight that paralysis. And Kane and him, they are sent flying. Deku threw out a kick, Kane threw out a punch, and the two, they threw each other in different directions. Deku smashing directly through a car and hitting himself directly on the other side of it. As Kane, he got thrown into a mailbox. Him stuck for a second, we're going to bring his hands out. Him going to pull it apart and going to stand back up. And Deku, he tried to get back up from the vehicle. Him feeling the numbness. As Kane rushed forwards, him actually going to grab onto Deku and throw him directly through the rest of the vehicle. Him charging Deku directly through into a building. And Deku and Kane, the two are currently inside. Deku goes to bring up his hand, blasting out tasers at Kane. As he was flying backwards, and Kane is going to rush forwards, smashing directly into the wall and going to collapse it. As Kane is going to turn, staring back towards Deku. And Deku, he does still don't stand there. And Kane's annoyed, bringing up his hands and actually fire out webs. As Deku does start to dodge. However, Kane, he knows what Deku's doing. He's still a Azuka Midoriya. And Kane's able to hit Deku in the leg. Deku being hit by a taser web, I'm going to feel the grenade explode. Now, the grenade behind Deku exploded, covering him in webs. And Kane, he actually turned and started to walk away. As whenever he did, he actually turned and busted into the wall and ripped out something. And Deku felt the building begin to be unstable. His spider sense began to go off. And Kane walked away. He knew he won already. And that was enough for him. He didn't want to kill the clone. But letting him die in a collapse? Well, that's just collateral damage. Now, that's how Kane rationalized it in his head. And it was quite easy and simple for him. And Deku, he actually was still in the building. Him trying to fight and pull off the webs. However, there actually was where the ceiling above him, it began to collapse. And Deku, he was hit by a piece of falling debris. And the building, it finally started to come down properly. And there actually was Captain America. Captain America, he was made to realize a number of things. His head just felt clear. It felt better, less chaotic, and then he just realized something. The city around them is burning. It's on fire. For city blocks, there's damage, collateral damage, and people are injured. The heroes are the ones who caused this, not the villains. And Steve Rogers, he brought his hands up. He made things quite clear. He wanted to be arrested, and he wanted to stand trial. But a number of other things happened. Right now the heroes are trying to clean up, try and help. And there is an alarming discovery. They found Spider-Man. Spider-Man was holding his own. He held up a collapsing building, and he was trying to stay safe. However, that was it. He was stuck there. Like Atlas holding on to the weight of the world, he was holding on to the weight of the building. He didn't know if there was anyone else inside, and he was worried about people being killed. Even whenever his life is on the line, he tried to hold the building together, hold it up to make sure it couldn't fall. However, right now, Deku, he failed. He was found in the collapsed building, under the rubble, along with another superhero, who was collateral damage in the eyes of S.H.I.E.L.D. However, how exactly is S.H.I.E.L.D. going to react? Whenever they find out the superhero they just found, they weren't even the real superhero. They were green, they were dead, and they were in a costume. And that was a very big red flag. Right now, the Skrulls are on Earth. And after S.H.I.E.L.D. is made aware of that, they start to piece a few things together. Damage control, the Mutant Registration Act, and Atlantis. All of these things that have happened, all these things that have been done, they point back to a number of people. But are they actually people? Or is this just the Skrulls trying to take over the Earth? Is this just the Skrulls trying to figure a few things out? Right now, the Earth's heroes, they might be divided, but they will have to work together. Captain America and his team, they are allowed to roam free, but they still need to be monitored by S.H.I.E.L.D. They need to be aware. They answer to Tony Stark. And with that, right now Iron Man, he has a number of things to do. The world saw how the heroes reacted to this one simple law. They saw it divide the world. And that just meant one thing. What are you going to do? Right now, heroes aren't even too sure who they can trust. The Skrulls are a shape-shifting species that can take over your mind. Well, who can take over your... I butchered that. The Skrulls are a shape-shifting species who, if they abduct you, they can take your mind, essentially. They can copy all of your memories in your head, and they can become sleeper agents. Or they can be aware. They can copy your powers, your appearance, and your memories. Almost a perfect copy. And that does mean a number of things. It will cause a number of problems. Because right now, with the fact that the hero that was found was on Iron Man's side, people aren't sure who's who. And Iron Man, he's being told by Maria Shield that he probably should step away from Shield. He wants to figure this out, but he can't do so from behind the door. He needs to be out there and on the ground. She'll take control, and he can have that. Lead the Avengers and find out what happened. The Superhuman Registration Act, it might have to actually be discontinued because the damage is already done. People are still trying to figure things out. People are still fighting. People still hate each other. And people are still divided. And that right now is what the Skrulls want. And Tony Stark, he might be a little cuckoo, but even he knows the Skrulls are a big problem. Especially after what the Illuminati, they've had to deal with before. They stopped the first invasion. But this is the start of the second secret invasion of Earth. Now, with that being said, Deku, he woke up in a S.H.I.E.L.D. hospital, and he was made aware as to what was happening. He was out for a week, if not 3. And in that amount of time, a lot of things were uncovered, revealed, and found. And that means civil war. A total of almost 10 months of Izuku's life. It wreaked havoc on the heroes. It said a lot. And Izuku, he's being told now he doesn't know who he can trust. And that's a problem. And there currently is Deku. He does go to get up. He goes to head home. And right now, Ben, he goes to switch out with Deku. But Deku, whenever he arrived back home, he was quite happy to see everyone. He talked to his mom. He talked to Ben. He spent some time with Julia. And he even went out with Jessica Drew. He went back to her place. And he actually wanted to try and get her advice about what to do. He's not too sure who he can trust. And Captain America is even skeptical about trusting him. So that does say a lot. Right now there's paranoia. There's distrust. There's hate. There's all these things. And apparently that might be exactly what the Skrulls were trying to do. Trying to stir up. The Skrulls didn't want a world that had the heroes organized. Right now the Skrulls, they wanted a world where the heroes didn't know who was who. They didn't know who they can trust. They were skeptical about everybody already. And now, the fact is, that makes this 100 times worse. Izuku's not too sure who is his friend and who's his enemy. However, his spider sense might give him a good idea. And that is one of the last things on his mind. As currently, him and Jessica, they sat down to have a bit of a relaxing afternoon. The clones are going to be out tonight. And that means they get to spend some time alone. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.